Welcome to the South Orange Report. I'm Andrea Fant-Hobbs, and with me today are two special ladies to talk about their amazing book, Breakthrough Results in Education, Releasing the Potential of Your Students and Your District. And my guests are the lovely Joan Henry, field supervisor at Seton Hall University and educator for over 35 years, and Margaret Cunningham, educator, enthusiast, and now author. Ladies, welcome.
Thank you.
Talk to me about what made you write this book.
You know, I was working on another anthology project, and it occurred to me that superior teachers don't have a voice. And so I thought, what a wonderful way to select a topic that teachers are passionate about and hear from teachers in the classroom now and their experiences and what they think it takes to release the potential of young people. And I also know that having taught, every teacher has a book in them. So I thought that this would be a way to start the process going by just writing a chapter, 1,500 words. Everyone could do that. And so that's how the book began.
And potential, and releasing potential. When I looked, first of all, I love the book, and I love the cover because it's inspiring, and it made me feel like something's about to happen. When I read your definition of potential, I thought how terrific to release the potential in our students, and the potential being something that's yet to be realized, and releasing potential in the district. That's powerful. So, Joan, can you talk a little bit about what teachers, what educators can do to release that potential in their students?
I think one of the key factors that teachers have to look at is our relationships.
Okay.
We've spent many times talking about building relationships within your building, with your families, and particularly with the child who is sitting in front of you. The more trust a child has, the more they know that you care about them, they're willing to make the effort and also give you their trust, and that will open up their potential.
And what about releasing the potential in the district? Because that has to be like going uphill with a boulder on your shoulders.
Very often, that is the case. But in order to build our country and to build communities, it's great when you have one school that's performing, but it's very difficult to move a community with only one school. And you know, brilliance for me, brilliance knows no age, no race, no color, no ethnicity. And so we need the brilliance in our districts to be able to be released. And so that's why it was important as I thought about it. It's like it's not just the child, but it's the district, because often the district can really impact the teachers, and that's where it starts. So it's important to be able to release that potential across the district so that we can really see the opportunity of our kids and they can really achieve that opportunity.
I know I can think of the superior teachers that I've had. It's very easy for me to recollect which of them were superior. How do the teachers go from good to great? What is it that they need to be doing, that they can be doing to release their own potential? Because in order for them to realize the potential in our children, they already are very special people. But what do they need to be doing? What can they be doing?
I'll start with you.
Teachers need to feel free enough to connect with each child and each family and not become so bogged down with the demands that are placed on them. There's been a tremendous shift in teacher freedom within the classroom since the days when I started. And so I think you just have to shake some of that off and say, my goal is still to work with the children within the confines of what I'm supposed to be doing, but keeping your goals in mind all of the time. Many good teachers just feel so pressed down by the demands that they have now.
And you mentioned family. There are so many different configurations of family.
Yes.
And how do the teachers manage connecting with the families? Because some parents have to work one, maybe two jobs. They may not be able to make it into the classrooms, which is what teachers would like, that engagement with the family. But how do the teachers balance that? And how do you reach into those families that might need a little bit more outreach from superior teachers?
Well, I think that certainly with the age of social media, we have many more tools to be able to reach outside of the boundaries of the school day. So I think first you have to be flexible enough to be able to go beyond that, to understand what the work schedules are. We have email, we have texting, there's Facebook. And so I think that's important to realize that it goes beyond just the regular day, and to try and to assume that the family does want the involvement.
Yes.
Not to
Yes.
assume that they don't, but assume, because when, as Joan said, when they know that you are caring for their child and the child comes home and is excited about their teacher and they feel like there's a trust there, that definitely impacts the parents. And if you strive to work with the parents, many more parents really will strive to work with you.
All right, now give me a real tip or tool or strategy. There is a superior teacher, many superior teachers watching us, and they're probably saying, okay, there are going to be some tools and tips and strategies. They grab their sticky notes, they grab their pens, and they're ready. So share with us a couple of strategies for the teachers.
Strategies in terms of reaching out to families or reaching to their children?
Reaching the families and the children and the district.
What do you think?
Well, reaching the parents, as Margaret said, making sure that you are contacting them. Notes home, a text, a phone call for positive things, for the one thing that child struggled to do and can now do, makes such an impact. So no matter what kind of technology you're using, or as simple as an old-fashioned note, making that connection, that's a critical thing. Within the district, I think seasoned superior teachers need to stand up and speak out more than they have in the past.
How do they do that? How do they do
Well,
that?
you can, excuse me, start with your principal. It's all about relationship as well. So you have to be strategic, right? And you have to think about, what do you want to accomplish? But whether it's through maybe your like teachers in other schools, whether it's the same grade level, if it's elementary, if you're in the middle or high school, if it's the same area that you're teaching in, you may work with your supervisor. You may work with the head of the department. You know who you can start to work with, to plant seeds, to start to water, but to keep pushing the envelope and to get support from other teachers, not to gang up, but to be able to talk about what the real need is and the impact that a change could bring. I think one of the thoughts for me in terms of superior teachers is having a thirst for learning and being able to bring new ideas or bring back some really good old ideas that now seem to be new, things that are effective, but have that thirst for knowledge and for change, and to garner your support to bubble that up and to be able to show what are the data points associated with that. So we can't lose sight of the fact of what is the vision of the district and what are their hot buttons. So you know how to present that to the district to get what you know is best for your kids.
What I loved about the book is that it is an anthology and that they were a collection of superior educators sharing information. I thought that was absolutely wonderful. And what can parents do if you think that your child has a teacher that maybe could be doing some things differently to differently engage with their child? What can parents do?
Parents need to feel that they are welcome within any classroom, and that they can schedule an appointment, come in and observe and speak with that teacher, and remember always that they are the ones who have the ultimate responsibility for making sure that their child is getting their needs met. Never to feel that they are not a partner in their child's journey. They have to feel that they are welcome to come in and start that dialogue. And I think teachers need to, at times, be more open to that.
And in the situations where parents have tried and they haven't had a welcoming mat from a teacher, to go to the next level, because it is about the school year goes very quickly.
Yes, it does.
And it's a building block, and whatever is not captured in that year has to be made up somewhere. So to have that determination to keep moving forward to see what kind of support they can get. But many, many teachers do really want to help. And it's, the squeaky wheel often does get the oil. So
You also had in the book information from students, or I heard the voices of students talking about what they believed a superior teacher looked like. Do you want to talk a little bit about the student feedback that you got for the book?
Yeah, well, one of the things that we often don't do is really hear from our students on a regular basis and really integrate them, in my experience, I shall say, in my experience. And so I thought it was very important. They're our product, if you will, and we are preparing our young people, and it's important for us to get some feedback and an assessment, right? We always want to assess our students to
yes.
see where they are. So I thought it was important to allow the students to assess what they see, where they see opportunities. Our young people are bright, and they know the games that are being played.
So there's no mechanism in place in schools now for the students to provide feedback on their teachers?
Well, I think it's
formal mechanism.
It's school by school.
Okay.
Is the best way, but there is no systemic method and requirement to be able to get feedback. There are different models that incorporate it. At one point, we were in a district I was in, we were using the Comer model, and they had student surveys that were done annually, and we would review them and so forth. But when that model was no longer used, that component was lost. So no, there's no systemic way for students to consistently provide feedback.
Wouldn't that be wonderful, though?
Mm-hmm.
It would.
Because some of the comments from the students were amazing, and to hear their voices about what makes a teacher superior and how the teachers have touched their lives, that was just so touching to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it brought me back to Mrs. Miller, my third grade teacher, because which
Yes.
teachers really ignited you,
Right.
or just brought out from you the passion to learn.
And it's rarely a teacher that just wanted to have fun. It's typically a teacher that had very high expectations.
Well, ladies, I know that we're going to take a minute. We'll be right back.
After 17 years working as a mason, Mike was laid off. I met him when he came into the library looking for help. He found a job opening, but the application was only online. Mike said he'd spent his entire life around tools, but had never used a computer. I showed him how, and he ended up applying for numerous jobs online. I saw Mike the other day. His new computer skills paid off. He's working again.
New Jersey libraries are transforming lives. Tell us your story.
Welcome back. I'm Andrea Fant-Hobbs. This is the South Orange Report, and we are talking with Joan Henry and Margaret Cunningham about their new book, Breakthrough Results in Education, Releasing the Potential of Your Students and Your District. And just before we went to a break, we were talking about students providing feedback on their teachers and how amazing that could be. if that could be done in all schools. So talk about some of the specific feedback that your students provided for the book.
Well, one of the things that I was surprised but not surprised by was how much a school may have tried to get students to do the work, but then went behind them and the teachers did the work for them.
Oh dear.
And so there wasn't enough of a sense of independence. There wasn't a sense of it's okay to try and fail. It was about kind of making the grade. There was also a very clear understanding and awareness of the imbalance of what types of students were maybe funneled towards one small community or one track versus another group of students. So the students are very aware. They're aware of if you're not going to class all the time and you have to make up the work, what one group of students is able to do to make up the work that may have nothing to do with the classwork versus another group of the students. So the students are very aware of inequality that goes on. They're very aware of teachers that maybe aren't as connected and interested in being where they are.
Interesting.
And the level of...
Because you really can't pull the wool over.
No, I think that's the biggest piece, and they know how to play the system to get what they think they need to get in order to graduate and get into the colleges that they want to get to.
So some things are the same. Many things have changed, Joan, in 35 years.
Many.
Is it more difficult for teachers, and is it more difficult to achieve a level of superiority in this craft?
I think it is more difficult because the demands on teachers' time, the amount of paperwork and data that needs to be produced, somehow presses down. And those fun, spontaneous learning moments are just not there as often as they used to be. I think the teachers who have consistently high goals and expectations for their students will follow them no matter what their demands are. And that's a critical piece.
It's such an amazing profession. And I often say it's the most important. My family, we talk about this, it's the most important. I mean, the teacher is with, my daughter's teachers are with her almost more hours of the day than she is with her parents, and pouring in and shaping and sharing. It's such an incredibly important job. How are you finding more people looking to become teachers, or unique route to become teachers?
There are many students in the education program at Seton Hall, and we are very lucky to have such high caliber students. One of the facets that I think has helped so much is that they start with their field work right away. They are out 1 day a week beginning in sophomore year.
Wonderful.
And if that student walks in and says, wow, this really isn't what I thought it was, they haven't spent 4 years before they've learned the fact that this might not be for them. The flip side is that it allows a multitude of field experiences in varying grades and in varying communities. And it helps the student teachers find their niche and see what they really enjoy. So from my perspective, I've still seen wonderful, excited teachers who are ready to come in and change the world.
Wonderful.
One of the things that came to mind when Margaret was speaking is that yes, we need them to be vocal and to do what they need to do, but they also have to learn to choose their battles. They can't go in and say, I'm going to change all these things. Find the teachers who agree on a point, and those are the things that you put your energy into, because if you spread yourself too thin, nothing positive will happen.
Right.
And I think that's how it trickles down to the students. Finding those areas that you can make a positive change in, and then spending as much contact time as you can with your students.
And I can imagine, with technology being what it is, the teacher's day must be elongated. When I was growing up at 3 o'clock, we weren't hearing from the teachers. After school, you were done. Now that teachers with all the technology can communicate way beyond the school day.
That, and also the administrivia that has just, jumped up. And so it is very important for us to rethink and transform our thinking on the importance of the papers, the check-off boxes, and to really see what is going on in the classroom. Listen to what you hear. Does it make sense? Where does someone need help in? I think that there is a balance. It's not always going to be equal, but there needs to be more of a balance, and I believe that we've moved out of balance and further away from our most important individual in the classroom, our students. So we need some transformation to occur.
That's a big word, transformation.
It is, and
not just a little revitalization, but transformation. That's huge.
And there are pockets of that across the country. But we really need that. We need to look at the design. We need to look at, this is an industry that hasn't changed its design in over 100 years.
But the children are changing. The families
the
are
families.
changing. And the issues that affect the children, you can't be ready to learn when there are many social issues happening at home.
Which
Just
is
the number of parents, single parent families. Many different things affect a child's ability or readiness to learn when they get into the classroom. So all of that comes.
Which is why it's also so critical to change how we interact with the community. Towns and districts should not be experiencing the same issues 20 years later. That means that we're not addressing what's really going on. And so that's where the partnership becomes even more important, particularly with the town and the facilities that the town can provide that may be able to be leveraged in the school district and supportive of families. So we really need to look at this very differently than we have in the past, and perhaps ease up on test scores as our sole focus, our singular focus.
I'm sure that would be widely debated.
One of the critical things that I try to impress upon my student teachers is that they get to know their students and their families. They have to understand what that child comes in with that morning, and be understanding in the way that they work with the child and the way they discipline the child. They have no idea what might have happened and what they're carrying with them when they come in. And your expectations will always stay the same, but you often have to change the way you go about reaching them, depending on what burdens a child is carrying to school that day.
And you have to realize that they may have those burdens. You have to first be aware.
And that's where relationship comes in, right? When your kids know that you care about them, they are willing, they pour their hearts out to you. And it is very moving, and it is very challenging. That's the other part of teaching that is not always so happy-go-lucky when you step into the shoes of your students and their families. But that's the critical component, which is why in the book there are a couple of chapters on relationships. Because it is that important. And each author, and I have to say, the 14 authors in the book are really phenomenal, caring, competent, superior educators. And I didn't share with them what individual chapters people were writing about. I didn't ask them to write about a particular chapter. I gave them the title and asked them to write what they thought was critical. And so it's not by any mistake that there are many chapters on relationships, because that is how important it is to starting off to getting into knowing our young people.
And I love the idea of of the anthology because it was the different voices. So the 14 different educators, their voices and their stories make up the book. So
Yes.
it's not just one book, one author, one point of view perhaps. It's multiple points of view. But all of the roads led to Rome. They all led to, this is what superior teachers look like.
Right.
This is what superior teachers do. And it's a very, very powerful set of stories from 14 amazing authors. So the name of the book is Breakthrough Results in Education, Releasing the Potential of Your Students and Your School District. And where can people find this amazing book? Here
Well,
in South Orange?
In South Orange, at the Word Cafe bookstore,
Okay.
which is right on South Orange Avenue, 108 West South Orange Avenue, and on Amazon. So it's in a paper format. It's, well, also in Kindle.
Wonderful. And if there are teachers looking, hearing this information, and feel as though they have a story to tell, a tool, a tip, or a strategy, how can they reach you ladies? How could they get involved in an anthology?
Well, you know, there's two different ways, at least two ways. One is through webpage margaretjcunningham.com.
So that's margaretjcunningham.com, because we have about 2 minutes left, and I want to make sure that we give people the information.
Right, and so there's a form that you can complete if you're looking for any type of information.
Okay, so that's margaretjcunningham.com. And the book is located in the Word Cafe.
It is at the Word Cafe, yes, in South Orange and on Amazon.
Okay, great.
But go into the Word Cafe. There's multiple beautiful books in there
Okay.
of all ages.
And can they sit a while and
They can.
curl up with this book?
And there's some coffee in that cafe to do, but it's a book that you want to take your time to go through and highlight and chew on and come back to.
I highlight many things, and I'm an underliner. I've become an underliner.
And each author has their contact information in the book as well.
Wonderful.
So it's more than just me. There's each author that you could reach out to as well.
Wonderful. Joan and Margaret, I'm so glad that you took the time to come and share your new book, Breakthrough Results in Education, Releasing the Potential of Your Students and Your School District. And I even love, it's almost an invitation, releasing the potential of your students and
Yes.
your school district. Thank you so much for sharing that. Knowing what makes a teacher superior is good information, and good information for parents, but good information for educators. And I thank you guys for coming on.
Thank
And we're
you.
going to be visiting the Word Cafe to purchase our book, or purchase our book on Amazon or margaretjcunningham.com for more information. So thank you so much for joining us on the South Orange Report.
Thank you for
Thank
having me.
you.